What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, the UFC has a problem in the flyweight division. That problem has a name, and that name, Alexandre Pantoja. Okay? Now, when you look at the UFC, the pay scale for UFC fighters, and this is a quote straight from the UFC themselves. UFC fighter pay is not solely based on wins, but rather a combination of factors, including their popularity, fight excitement level, win record, experience, and overall performance, with the most popular and exciting fighters generally earning the highest salaries, meaning their pay is heavily influenced by their ability to attract viewers and generate interest, not just their win-loss record alone. Okay? Now, this is one of those things that I think eventually this is going to be something that the UFC is able to put in writing and be able to enforce how these fighters like Alexandre Pantoja, how their career proceeds. Right now, it's MMA, and it's absolutely well within the rule set to be a boring fighter. Let's just get honest, okay? Everybody loves to see two guys go out there, stand in a phone booth, and box and kickbox each other's ears off. We all love that. We all love to see that. But that is not always how fighters choose to proceed throughout their career. Depending on what kind of background they have in mixed martial arts, they may come from a grappling background, they may come more from a striking background. Even grapplers. I'm a former jiu-jitsu guy, and I am the first to admit to you, I have a love for jiu-jitsu, but there is nothing more fun than seeing two guys stand up and bang it out. This is something that Alexandre Pantoja at flyweight just does not do, okay? And it's a unspoken problem within the UFC that I know Dana and I know Hunter and I know Mick all see this as an issue, and I think that they see this as an issue that needs to be dealt with, but they're still trying to figure out how to do that without just coming flat out and saying, hey, we're not going to have you back because you're freaking boring and you put everyone to sleep. Okay? There's been whispers of it. You know, it wasn't that long ago when a certain fighter fought against Corey Sandhagen, and this person was undefeated in the UFC, and it was very shortly after that, all of a sudden, he just disappears from the UFC. This fighter claims, and I'm not saying his name for a reason, this fighter claims that he was told by UFC staff, not Dana specifically, but claims he was told by UFC staff to not shoot for takedowns. Now, listen, if you ask Dana about this, of course he does not admit to that. The UFC prides itself in being not a scripted WWE type promotion, right? They don't pre-decide or predestine certain fighters to win specific fights, right? And I do believe that that is the case. However, I do believe also that it has been strongly hinted at, especially through recent years, that if you're just a boring fighter who all you do is shoot and push people up against the fence and sniff jocks the whole time, you're probably not going to have a really long, lucrative career in the UFC, okay? And I think that the UFC are trying to kind of put that writing on the wall, okay? And the problem arises when you have a fighter like Alexandre Pantoja, who has not won a fight by KO, TKO since 2019, guys. It is almost 2025. So you're looking at almost 6 years since Alexandre Pantoja has won a fight by KO or TKO. Okay? Since then, unanimous decision, unanimous decision, submission win, split decision, unanimous decision, unanimous decision. Okay, so you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. His last 7 fights in a row over the last 5.5 year period, decision, decision, submission, decision. You get where I'm going with this, right? And then when I look at this upcoming UFC event that's coming up on December the 7th, okay, I'm looking at this card, okay? And I'm noticing that the main event is, of course, the champion Alexandre Pantoja against Kai Asakura. Kai Asakura is obviously a huge up and coming Japanese star from Ryzen. Everybody says that he's the man, he's great. I have a fear that him being a striker, he is going to go in there and get grappled to death by Alexandre Pantoja. Okay? And don't get me wrong. I mean, if this kid is everything that people are saying that he is, maybe he will be able to nullify this attack by Alexandre Pantoja, and we can get us a new champion that can revive the ever dying flyweight division, all due to the great things that Alexandre Pantoja does with jock sniffing. Okay? And when I look at this card, I see that being the main fight. And then I look at the co main event. And immediately, when I see the name Ian Machado Gary and Shavkat Rakhmonov, the first thing that comes to my mind is this should be the main event. How are we living in a world and in a current state of the UFC where Alexandre Pantoja is the main event and two exciting fighters like Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Machado Gary are the co-main to Pantoja? I mean, this is like climaxing and then laying down and cuddling afterwards, you know? It's like, hey, you know, we're finished now. I mean, I'm already done. You know, what are you doing? Cuddle beforehand, right? Get me built up until finally, you understand? What's happening here is we've got Cyril Gane, Alexander Volkov. That's the co-main event. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Exciting fight. You know it's going to be a stand-up war. These guys are not going to be looking to take each other down. You are going to get a really sweet technical kickboxing match that I imagine will be a lot of fun. Now, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Machado Gary, I could definitely see Shavkat attempting to take Ian down because Ian, you know, they're both tall, both lanky. You know, Shavkat Rakhmonov, as good as he is, you know, and being undefeated, also like Ian, Rachmanov has a little bit more notoriety, just partially because of the region of the world that he's from, in the whole wrestling grappling department, right? The Sambo, you know, they're more known for that over there where he's from. And Ian Machado Gary, not saying that he can't wrestle or can't grapple, but he is a guy who is just more openly and overtly known as a striker, and he's shown that to be kind of his game plan throughout. So I can definitely see Shavkat attempting to take Ian down, but there's a difference in Shavkat Rakhmonov and Alexandre Pantoja in the excitement level specifically, okay? Because Shavkat Rakhmonov, if he is not taking you down, he is banging on the feet. He's throwing spinning heel kicks. He's throwing knees. He's boxing, you know, doing all of these things, standing in the pocket with guys. He is an exciting fighter. You know, Ian Gary, a little bit more on the reserved side. He's a very technical individual, so he's not going to stand in a phone booth with you and just throw hands because he wants to remain undefeated, right? But you get my point. You get my point. We're getting the climax of, oh, yes, Surreal Gone, Alexander Volkov, Shavkat Rachmanov, Ian Gary. We're getting these amazing fights that are dream matchups for real MMA, UFC fans, right? And then after that's over with, it's like, oh, now we have to watch Now we have to watch Pantoja sniff Kai Asakura's jock for 5 rounds. Might as well just get up and go home, man. I honestly swear to you, if I were at this UFC in person, and I've been to a few of them. I went to the UFC in Boston. My son and I went when Sean O'Malley first won the title against Aljamain. So I've been known to go to them. I would literally just want to leave after the Ian Gary fight, Shavkat Rachmanov. Now, there's always this little hope that you can cling to that maybe Alejandro Pantoja will not be able to take Kai Asakura down, that Kai Asakura will be on his game to the point that he is able to stop him from doing that. But let's be honest. I thought Steve Erceg was going to be able to stop Pantoja. I thought Brandon Royval was going to be able to stop Pantoja. I thought Alex Perez would be able to stop Pantoja from taking him down. I thought Brandon Royval, the first, second, and third time, would be able to stop. If not, after the first and second, by the third time, I would have thought that Brandon Royval would have been able to keep Pantoja from taking him down. This guy just has a way of forcing boring fights on his opponent and forcing boring fights on the fans. Now, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He's not breaking any rules. I mean, he's well within his, the rule set of the UFC, to jock sniff, you know. I mean, every once in a while, if it gets a little bit overwhelming and a little bit stale, if one of the referees is feeling antsy that night, if they stay on the fence too long, he'll okay, all right, break it up. That just doesn't happen often. Um, but Alejandro Pantoja is killing the flyweight division, and I hope. Well, I don't hope. I know that Dana White, Hunter Campbell, Mick Maynard, I know that all of these guys see this. They see the writing on the wall, okay? They hear the talk around town or around the world of how boring of a champion he is, okay? And one thing that we can hope for is that either Kai Asakura has the magic pill to be able to stay on his feet, keep Alejandro Pantoja from taking him down, and make the flyweight division great again, even if it's got to be a Japanese guy. Listen, I'm American through and through, man. I mean, I bleed red, white, and blue. I don't really want there to be a Japanese champion. But God, anything other than Alejandro Pantoja. And I look at this fight and I'm like, I would rather watch any of the undercard. I would rather watch the co-main, the co-co-main, the co-co-co-co-main. I mean, I would rather watch any of them than Alejandro Pantoja do what he does. I mean, let's look at this. It's real gone. Bryce Mitchell, Cron Gracie. I mean, you know, that's going to, well, it's funny because you got Bryce Mitchell, who's also a very well-known professed grappler, and then you have Kron Gracie, right? Who, I mean, he's a Gracie, so obviously he has that grappling jiu-jitsu pedigree that's going to be there. But when you get two guys like that together that are jiu-jitsu aces like that, what happens? They end up standing up and banging. They end up standing up in a sweet kickboxing match, right? Why do we not get that with Alejandro Pantoja? Why? Why? You know, if you get Alejandro Pantoja in there with another guy who is a known professed grappler, he's still going to sniff jocks the whole time he's in there. And it's sad, man. It's sad. It's completely messing up the flyweight division. I hope that Dana, Hunter, Mick can get together and get something done. We have to have something in place. I mean, let's put a few soccer rules in there. No, you give them a red card or something. No, something. You're boring the shit out of the fans, bro. You're boring the hell out of everybody in here. Look, that guy over there is sleeping. I mean, this one back here has been snoring for the last 10 minutes. Can we please get this shit going? Here's a red card, right? Here's a red card. You lose a point. He's sleeping. She just fell out onto the floor from sleeping. You get 2 points taken away. We got to do something, guys. We got to do something. I mean, and when you look at this, and then you think about the fact that there are going to be people who are casuals, people who are not necessarily huge UFC fans, happening up on this card, and it's just going to happen to be every time a UFC comes on, there are new people coming to the sport and watching the support. A friend invited them over. Hey, man, you ever watch UFC? No, man, never really been into it. Well, hey, Saturday night we're doing, bring you your lady over, come on. And there's somebody new watching the sport every Saturday that it comes on, and somebody new to the sport is going to come, and they are going to be forced to sit and watch Alejandro Pantoja. I mean, they're not only going to never watch the sport again, they won't even want to come to the person's house that you invited me over for this shit. The hell is this crap? You know? I mean, at the least, thank God, and the UFC should be thankful for the fact that hopefully they get to see Shavkat Rachmanov, Ian Machado Gary, Cyril Gahn, Alexander Volkov. I mean, at least let them get there in time to see those. Okay? At least. Please. Please. Let them get there to see those fights. Get out of my video. Because if they don't make it there until the Pantoja fight, I mean they'll never watch the UFC again, ever, unless Kai Asakura, unless listen, please let them get there in time to at least see the Rachmanov Gary fight, the Cyril Gahn Alexander Volkov fight, because if they don't, and they roll up in there just in time for this Pantoja fight, they will never watch the UFC again. And Dana and Mick and Hunter, they need to understand this. This is a problem, okay? This sort of style of fighting is killing the UFC, right? And you look at certain ones, I mean, it's a problem with the Russians too. It's a problem with the Russians too. But at least some of the Russians do both, and if they can't get the takedown or they're having trouble in the area of the ground attack, you will see, you're seeing a lot of Russians starting to come on with their striking and stuff too and look really good there. I mean, look at Makachev. I mean, dude, Homeboy is a great striker too, and he's proved that to people. He comes as Habib's protege, and everyone thinks that he's just this hardcore jock sniffing grappler and he can't do anything on his feet. Absolutely not true. He's proven the whole world wrong. He's fun to watch, despite the fact that he is more of a grappling genius and that is more his bread and butter. Despite that, he's a fun fighter to watch. Alexandre Pantoja puts mofos to sleep. And it's not cool. And the UFC has a problem with this. And I'm anticipating within the next year or two that something is going to have to give. Something's going to have to be adjusted. Okay? Whether that be a slight adjustment to the rule set, whatever it is, I don't know. I don't pretend to be a person that has all the answers and has a fix for it. I'm just expressing what millions of other people are already thinking and already knowing, that Alexandre Pantoja is killing the flyweight division, single-handedly murdering the flyweight division. Something's going to have to change. But hopefully the co-main event is a banger. That's all I can say. Hopefully it's a banger. Yep. And hopefully people actually stick around for the main event. I mean, they probably will, they'll stick around for this tiny hope that Kaya Sakura will be able to stay away from the ground attack of Pantoja. They'll just have this inkling of hope that he'll be able to stay on his feet. I hope he is. I hope he can. Subscribe to the channel if you've not. Like the video. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. I already know you agree. I mean, everybody thinks Pantoja's a freaking boring ass fighter. I mean, if you don't think it, it's okay. But I know the majority of people think that. I mean, I almost want to walk out of the room when he starts fighting. I'm not even going to lie. And I am a hardcore UFC fan, guys. Been watching it since 1993. I'm a 48-year-old guy. I've been watching it since Hoist Gracie walked in with a gi on. Okay? So for me to want to leave the room on a main event, that means it ain't good. All right? But hope you guys have a good evening. I will see you next time. Peace.